I wasn't expecting to like Labyrinth anywhere near as much as I did. I have a few points of criticism, but in general, I thought this was amazing. And the reason I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was is because of two reasons. One, I'm not a huge fan of fantasy in general, but that just didn't seem to affect me here. And two, I don't have the strongest childhood memory of this one because I did watch it as a child once and I never watched it again because I was terrified. Despite the fact that horrors and thrillers are now my favourite genres, anything as a child that was scary to me was not something I would ever watch. And Labyrinth is pretty creepy. It is rated PG, it's worth pointing out, but nevertheless, I was very scared of it. But now I really thoroughly enjoyed it. This was released in 1986. It's directed by Jim Henson, written by Terry Jones, and stars Jennifer Connelly as Sarah and David Bowie as Jareth. And I won't go into any spoiler details, but very briefly, it's about a 16-year-old girl called Sarah who is fed up of her baby brother. And when I say baby, I do mean a baby. And she wishes that he was taken away by the Goblin King. And her wish is granted. And Jareth, the Goblin King, comes along and takes the baby, and if she wants the baby back, she has to make it out of the labyrinth. And throughout the film, she makes her way through the labyrinth, and there are various obstacles and challenges, and of course, she meets a lot of characters along the way, a lot of very fantasy-style characters, and I think that's one of the reasons why I was scared of it as a child. The character designs are amazing, but very, very creepy in a lot of ways. So that definitely played into my childhood fear, but watching it now as an adult, I love the design of it. The narrative itself is interesting enough. I love labyrinths in general. I just think they're such a fantastic concept. I think horror films and thrillers that are set in mazes or labyrinths are always so fun because there is so much uncertainty about what is lurking around the corners, and this definitely comes across here. But the set design really blew me away. The narrative is interesting enough. It was fun to watch. I enjoyed it. It was unpredictable. But for me, it was the visuals, both with the puppets and the other characters I've mentioned, but also with the set designs. The set design of the labyrinth is absolutely incredible. We have other things that we see as well, and it just looks so amazing. And I was completely drawn into this. It was very easy to feel like I was there because visually it was just absolutely stunning. It was an absolute joy. And if I could visit any set design, this would be one of them. It would be so fun to play in the labyrinth set design. It's just absolutely amazing. I have a lot of love for that. So visually stunning, eerie and creepy, and I guess those are the things that really put me off the film as a child, but now as an adult, they're the things that I love and lap up and adore and actively seek out when I'm looking for a film, so that just completely worked for me. The narrative is pretty good. We do have a lot of obstacles, we have a lot of characters that are brought in at a pretty steady rate. I feel like the pacing is really great for the most part. As I said, I don't want to go into any spoiler details. I don't want to give away any of the heart of the story, but I do think we could have lost maybe 15 minutes or so from towards the end because it did become a little bit slow and the pacing just wasn't really going at a rate that I really enjoyed, and I felt like my attention was wavering a little bit. I'm not saying I was bored towards the end or that I didn't find any of it engaging, but I definitely feel like there's quite a bit of padding towards the end, and we could have removed little bits here and there to quicken it up. The whole film is an hour and 40, which for a 1986 film that's suitable for children is quite a long film. And that's not to say films can't be that length, but it didn't need to be. I think there are definitely things we could have removed without losing anything. So that is one point of criticism. The other point of criticism is something that I think a lot of people might disagree with. And if that's okay, I'm completely fine with that. But I don't think the music was very good. I don't necessarily mean the songs themselves, but the placement of the music, the frequency of the music. Obviously, Bowie gave a really brilliant performance. His vocal performance throughout all of the songs was very strong, but it felt unnecessary. There's not enough music in this for me to consider this a musical film. So whenever we did get a musical number, it really felt inorganic. It felt like it was forced. It's kind of like they went, we have Bowie in a film, so we need to have some songs in it. And I can understand that want, but the songs just don't feel very natural, and it doesn't feel like the film benefited from those songs. That's not to say the songs are bad, I just feel like they really pulled me out of the narrative rather than helping enhance it. There was one song that I did really like, and it's the song Within You. That's not to say I didn't care for the others, but that one stood out to me as being a song that I might actually listen to outside of watching this film. I thought it was pretty good. The rest of the songs, absolutely fine in themselves, but it felt very forced. It didn't feel natural, and as I said, it kind of took me away from the action rather than bringing me deeper into it. But I know a lot of people love Bowie and will have any opportunity to watch him perform in any way. So if somebody says, well, actually, I really like the music, that's perfectly fine. But for me, watching it for the narrative and for the visuals, not really caring about Bowie, I don't dislike Bowie, but I've never been a fan, if you like. I just felt like the music didn't add anything to the story. And that's me thinking critically. And I guess that's a good position to be in because I'm observing it as somebody who has no bias. Nevertheless, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought Labyrinth was a brilliant film. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did, based purely on my childhood experience. And it made me wonder if there are any other films that I watched once as a child and vowed to never watch again, because I'd be quite keen to check those out and see what they're like. It's one of the reasons why I don't often watch childhood films that I loved, because there's a chance that watching them now will be a much less positive experience. But if we can do it the other way, that's pretty great. Labyrinth is brilliant. I can completely see why a lot of people really love it. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. The pacing slowed down towards the end, and I don't feel like the music served any real purpose or added anything particularly interesting. But other than that, absolutely beautiful. If you haven't seen it, I thoroughly recommend it. If you watched it as a child and was scared by it, I'd say watch it now as an adult. It's a very different experience, and it's definitely one I'd be happy to watch again.